There is one belief that most ordinary Australians carry about their retirement. It sounds completely reasonable. It shapes every career decision, every pay negotiation, every quiet moment of wondering whether they are actually on track. The belief is this: the more you earn, the better your retirement looks. So they chase the promotion. They take on extra shifts. They negotiate harder at performance review time. They pick up side income when the opportunity arrives. And none of that is wrong, it is just incomplete. Because there is a number sitting inside your super fund right now, quietly working against you. And for a typical Australian on a $150,000 super balance, that number, just a 1% difference in annual fees, will cost you more than $280,000 by the time you retire. Not over a lifetime of bad decisions, not from ignoring super for 40 years, not from a series of dramatic mistakes. 1%, 30 years, $280,000 gone silently, automatically, every single year. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how that gap is built, why it outperforms most pay rises in real dollar terms, and what you can do about it this week in roughly 20 minutes. Most Australians know, somewhere in the back of their mind, that their super fund charges fees. What most have never done is run the maths on what those fees actually cost over time. Here is how the structure works. Your super fund does not charge a flat dollar amount once and stop. It charges a percentage of your total balance every year on a balance that is meant to be growing, which means the more your money compounds, the more the fund extracts, and the longer it runs, the more dramatic that extraction becomes. It is also not a single visible line item. Super fees in Australia come in layers: administration fees, investment management fees, and indirect cost ratios buried inside the fund's underlying investment vehicles. When you add them all together, the total annual cost is typically higher than what appears on a single statement page. The average retail super fund in Australia, the kind historically tied to banks and large financial institutions, charges somewhere between 1.2% and 1.8% in total fees annually. The best performing not-for-profit industry funds running comparable investment options charge between 0.7% and 0.5%. That gap is real. It's documented by APRA every year in data any Australian can access at no cost. And most Australians are sitting in the expensive option because it was their employer's default fund when they started the job, and nobody ever told them to look at it again.
Let's run the numbers, and let's make this specific enough to actually mean something. Meet Mel. She is 38 years old, earning $88,000 a year, with a current super balance of $150,000. She has approximately 30 years until she can access her super under standard preservation age rules. Her fund earns a gross investment return of 7.5% per year, a reasonable long-run assumption for a growth-oriented super option, broadly consistent with Australian diversified fund performance history over the past 3 decades. Scenario 1. Mel stays where she is. Her fund charges 1.5% in total annual fees. Her net return after fees is 6% per year. After 30 years, her $150,000 grows to approximately $860,000. Scenario 2. Mel spends 20 minutes this week switching to a low-fee industry fund charging 0.5% in total annual fees. Her net return after fees rises to 7% per year. After 30 years, her $150,000 grows to approximately $1,140,000. The difference, $280,000. Not from investing more, not from taking on more risk, not from earning more, saving harder, or making a single additional decision after the switch. From switching funds, once. That is not a rounding error or a best-case projection. That is what compounding does to a 1% fee difference over 30 years, and the gap gets larger, not smaller, as balances continue to grow. Here is the part most channels do not go near, because at this point, a lot of Australians think, okay, fees matter, but I'm going to earn more. That covers it. So let's run that comparison directly. Say Mel negotiates a $5,000 salary increase this year, a genuine achievement, harder than it sounds for most people in standard salaried roles. Assume her employer passes the full super guarantee contribution on that increase, 11.5% as of the 2024-2025 financial year. That adds $575 per year going into her super. Over 30 years, at a 7% net return inside a low-fee fund, that extra $575 per year compounds to approximately $54,000 in additional retirement savings. $54,000 from a $5,000 pay rise, sustained every year for 30 years without interruption. The fee switch delivered $280,000. To match what Mel gets from simply switching funds, she would need a salary increase of approximately $26,000, not a one-off, every year for 30 years. That is the real number. Most channels will not say it this plainly. Switching super funds is worth more to Mel's retirement than a $26,000 annual pay rise. It requires no performance review, no office politics, no skills development, no negotiation. It takes less than an hour, and it is available to every ordinary Australian right now, regardless of who their employer is or what their manager decides at review time.
There is an obvious reason the salary chase feels more real than the fee switch. A pay rise is visible. It arrives in your bank account every fortnight. You can tell people about it. The effort and the outcome are directly connected. You push, you win, you see the result. Your brain rewards you immediately. A super fee switch produces nothing you can feel today. The gain is real, $280,000 in Mel's case, but it arrives 30 years from now. Your present self gets nothing that registers as a win this week. No notification, no transfer, no number you can point to. That is not a character flaw. It is how human attention works, built to favor short-term, visible, socially recognized outcomes over long-term, invisible, silent ones. The super industry has built a business model on that gap for decades. Default funds, layered fee structures, statements that show percentages rather than dollar costs, none of it is accidental. Understanding this does not make you immune, but it does change the decision once the actual numbers are in front of you. The practical question is, how do you know where your fund actually sits? The ATO's Your Super comparison tool, built inside MyGov, shows every MySuper product available in Australia, ranked by total fees and net investment returns after fees and after tax across 1, 3, 5, and 7-year timeframes. You can see exactly what your current fund charges, what the alternatives cost, and the performance difference between them, side by side, in one place. APRA also publishes an annual superannuation performance heat map, a public document that names underperforming funds, lists their fee tiers, and shows their net return history. It is updated every year and available without a paywall or an advisor appointment. When reviewing your fund, look for the total annual fee as a percentage of balance, combining administration fees, investment fees, and any indirect cost ratios in the product disclosure statement. If that combined figure sits above 0.9% for a standard diversified growth option, you are paying more than comparable products charge. If you find a better option, the switch is administratively simple. Most low-fee industry funds allow you to transfer online through their member portal or directly through MyGov. There are no exit fees on My Super products. Those were legislated out in July 2019. The transfer typically settles within a few business weeks. You do not need an advisor's permission, you are not locked in, and unlike most financial decisions that meaningfully shift your retirement outcome, this one requires sustained discipline from you exactly once. Here is the one action from this video. If your super balance is above $50,000 and you have not deliberately chosen your current fund or you have not reviewed your fees in the past 2 years, open MyGov this week and run your numbers through the Your Super comparison tool. You are not committing to switching. You are running a 10-minute check on one of the most significant financial decisions currently sitting untouched in the background of your life. If your fund comes back clean, great, you know with certainty. If it does not, you now have the specific number attached to the decision. And in Mel's case, that number is $280,000. The maths does not wait for a better time. Every year inside a high-fee fund, while this information is on your radar, is another year the gap widens quietly. 20 minutes this week. Coming up next, we're going after one of the most repeated pieces of retirement advice in Australian personal finance, the 4% rule. Withdraw 4% of your super each year in retirement and your money lasts forever. You've probably heard it. It comes from American research, designed for American markets, built around an American retirement system. In Australia, the numbers behind it do not hold, and the real figure is different in ways that matter significantly. If you're relying on the 4% rule to plan your retirement, this one is important. That's next.